2. Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. Off to Los Angeles, California. I've never been to the LA Memorial Coliseum. I'm just hoping the plumbing works. Sam Farmer has covered the National Football League for years and years and years, and many of those years when they didn't have a football team in Los Angeles. Now they have 2, and they actually care about one of them. We'll be together on Monday night. You can follow him at LA Times Farmer. What's going on, man? I'm looking forward to landing over Inglewood up to no good at LAX and seeing the big hole in the ground out there.
Oh, yeah. It's risen out of the ground now. You can see the superstructure of the stadium, and it doesn't have the roof yet, but it's coming together. You'll be surprised.
Well, the franchise came together, right? I mean, Jeff Fisher and Eric Dickerson feuding and all of that nonsense, and then the Spanos things. And I know ESPN had a big piece this week about the Chargers and their future, but what am I going to see Monday night at a Rams game at this point, the year after they almost win the Super Bowl? The most exciting player in the sport, who you were here in Baltimore eating some tourist crab cakes a couple weeks ago and writing about Lamar Monday in the LA Times. This should be a big game in LA, kind of, sort of, right?
Yeah, I think you'll feel that vibe. I think a lot of people who haven't been to L.A. or don't know L.A. Sort of pass. There's a little echo chamber that goes on with L.A. that there are no football fans here, and that it's going to be all visiting team fans, and really that's not the case. I mean, you might it could be a 60-40 split. There are a lot of Ravens fans out there, and with the league being out of this market for 20 years. A lot of people keep their allegiances because during those 20 years we had Sunday Ticket and the Internet and NFL Network and fantasy football and all those things that allowed people to follow their teams just as closely. Proximity to their teams didn't matter as much in terms of following teams. So it's kind of hard to win over fans who are the cement is already hardened. So it's a little different market in that regard, but it's an exciting venue. It's going to be loud. Also, you got to remember the Coliseum is almost 100 years old, so it's more of a low-slung venue, a gradual bowl more than a vertical bowl. So the vertical NFL stadium. So it doesn't have the you're right on top of the game feel that a lot of the newer stadiums do, but it'll be fun. I mean, it'll be an exciting game, and I think it should be a good game. I mean, LA's defense has played really well, giving up only a touchdown in each of their 4 games since trading for Jalen Ramsey, and offensively they've been sputtering, but they're going to have Robert Woods back. They're going to have Brandon Cooks back this week. So they might get it going a little bit offensively.
Sam, I've known you a long time, and we talk about that market there and the Chargers and where it's at. It was never a great idea. I mean, your boy Plaschke's been killing them out there, and the Chargers were good last year. And, I don't know what the future is and what people are willing to pay and what the millennials will think of it and whether it'll ever catch on or not. But what do you make of all of this 25 years after you chasing this story around? The way that it turned out was not predictable in the end, right? I mean, that the Rams would ever come back?
Predictable in that, I would say that I all along had taken a skeptical view of this in terms of, there wasn't a big drumbeat to bring teams back to L.A. The league was interested in it. There wasn't a huge groundswell in L.A., certainly not behind any particular team. And definitely not the Chargers. I mean, and that Bill and I both wrote before the Chargers made their ultimate decision to move north that they should stay in San Diego because there isn't a fan base. So they're encountering that now, and that is pretty overwhelming, particularly when you have a fan base that travels really well, like the Steelers or Packers. It's almost entirely black and gold in the stadium. And so, they're going to have some serious growing pains, and who knows where it will go from here now that they're moving into a 72,000-seat stadium. And there are definitely tensions with the Rams. But I don't think anybody in L.A. was surprised that this I think the league was probably surprised. I think the Chargers were definitely surprised. They thought they had more of a fan base here. But they were judging primarily on ticket sales, I think. that a quarter of their ticket sales came from L.A., not thinking that those were scalpers who were going to scalp tickets. So it's not like they had a huge fan base in L.A. So it's a completely different situation when you look at the Rams and the Chargers. The Rams have a nostalgic, ancestral history in L.A. The Chargers don't. Even though the Chargers started in Los Angeles for 1 year, they're a San Diego team. And so it's going to be tough sledding for them. Rams, I think it's changed. Sort of one of the seminal moments was the Monday night game last year against Kansas City, 54-51 Rams game.
Hard to forget those jerseys, Sam.
What's that?
Hard to forget those jerseys that night.
Yeah. Well, what happened was, as you know, they couldn't play in Mexico City, so in short notice they switched it back to L.A., and they gave away a lot of those tickets, too, because there were first responders, there were fires going on. And so that was almost entirely Rams fans because the Chiefs fans didn't have time to switch up their tickets and come to L.A. And so that really it gave people a sort of a preview of what it would be like to have a full stadium, 90,000 people pulling in one direction. And so that'll be tough to match, but it shows that it's achievable. And so that's sort of the ideal. But yeah, again, I don't think people in L.A. are surprised or shocked that this is a difficult deal to get fans here.
I think only Ron Mix would see an ancestral history of the San Diego Chargers in L.A.
Yeah, right.
Sam Farber's here from the L.A. Times. And so you were in Baltimore. You were chasing Lamar around even before we went out and beat Houston last week. You were here 2 weeks ago. Some thoughts about Lamar. I mean, you cover the league more than the Rams, and that's why you're in Baltimore, and it just happens that this is where it's at. But in the last 6 weeks, Sam, we went from having a quarterback who was finding his way to having Michael Jordan here all of a sudden. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really remarkable, and you know, you could cite any of the statistics. They seem to he breaks new records every week. You know, this is sort of the golden age of the dual threat quarterback when you look across the league, and you look at Lamar, and you look at Deshaun Watson, and Kyler Murray, and Russell Wilson, and even guys, you know, Josh Allen's running the ball up in Buffalo. So I think this guy's remarkable. He's really fun to watch. What I really liked talking to John Harbaugh about him was he said he's got almost a photographic memory that he'll come back to the huddle and say, or when they'll in camp, he'd say, you know, I saw the hole between 21 and 24, and I saw 58 coming. He basically could describe the whole play. And they go back to the film and they look, and it's exactly that. So he said he's got this amazing, and Bruce Arians told me that about Patrick Mahomes too, because Arians really liked Patrick Mahomes when he was in Arizona, and would have loved to have drafted him. But you know, he said he's just got this amazing memory and almost sees the world in snapshots, and that's how John Harbaugh described Lamar. So I'm looking forward to working on that story. I got to pull together all my notes over the weekend and write it now.
Hey, man, I will see you out there, L.A. on Monday. I'm going to Koreatown. I'm going to get some barbecue. I'm going to find myself in the parking lot early. A lot of Ravens fans are coming out. 70 degrees, sunshine. You know, I've never been to the L.A. Memorial Coliseum, so I want to sort of walk around, take some pictures, check it out, because I mean, it's going to be gone soon, right? I mean, the NFL is going to be gone from there soon. Maybe a USC game, but next time we get out there, the hole in Inglewood will be ready to go soon, right?
Yeah, and you'll fly over Inglewood, like you said, as you're landing. You'll get a good look at the stadium. I would get on the right-hand side of the left-hand side as you're walking down the plane. Sit on the left-hand side of the plane because you'll then be looking over. So if you're looking from the pilot's view to the back lab, left-hand side of the plane, then you'll get a good view of the LA Stadium.
I appreciate it. I will take some overhead photos, although I see them every day on Twitter because it is something that everyone has sort of marveled about, right? Anyone that flies into LAX over the last 2 years, the next 2 years, they know this thing's coming, right? So it's like its own little city popping up there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Exactly.
take care of
Enjoy,
yourself.
buddy. I look forward to seeing you.
You got it. Sam Farmer, LA Times Farmer. The way to follow him out on Twitter. Be out there in the SoCal. Yeah, I need a little sunshine. That's what I need. Los Angeles. I mean, I've been doing this 25 years. I've only flown into LA one time for a football game. That was last year in Carson, Christmas week. So I get used to this LA thing. I have a feeling we're going to be doing some combines, Super Bowls, all sorts of things out there. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. The buyatoyota.com audio vault will have full post game in the aftermath from LA. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.